Hello, my name is Laurie Alexander. For those who don't know me, I've been a demonstrator for 9.5 years. For those who do know me, they know that I like to color a lot. So when Diana asked me to present my coloring in this play date, I was thrilled and honored. Unfortunately, my wedding anniversary is on Friday night, and Saturday is my mother-in-law's birthday, so I won't be able to attend in person. But I thought a pre-recorded coloring video would work just as well. In the video, I'll be referencing a number of techniques that I use. I presented these techniques in a past live in this play group. So if you search my name, you'll get the past live as well as my written notes on the different techniques that I will be utilizing. So I hope you learn stuff and I hope you enjoy it. And let's get started. Thank you. For my card, I'm using the Right Behind You set. Using these two girls on their bicycle. They're super cute. I stamped them with my Stamparatus on basic white using Memento Tuxedo Black. I use the Stamparatus because their leggings are dark and I wanted a solid image of their leggings. For my card, I thought I'd do something a little different than my usual techniques that I've done in the past. So we're going to create together this scene using those two girls. So what I've done is, as I said, I've stamped them and then I've drawn in the background just lightly with a pencil, just a bit of a sketch so that I can use as a guideline. And we're going to go through and we're going to learn how to do all the different pieces of this to create this scene. So I'm going to zoom in and we can get started coloring. So for I'll start with their skin. So I'm going to use Stampin' Blend Ivory and I'm going to use the Petal Pink Dark for the cheeks. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the ivory first. I'm going to use the felt tip of it and I'm going to use circular motions and I'm going to fill in their skin, being careful not to get their eyes on their face. Don't forget their hands and their arms. Just like that. So then I'm going to take the dark petal pink. I'm going to take the felt tip end and I'm going to add cheeks to them. So I'm going to just follow their cheekbones and do flicking motions like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to let it dry for a bit, and while it's drying I'm going to do their hair. So for her I used dark crumb cake and light crumb cake. I'm taking the felt tip and I'm going to do what I call flicking motions. And I'm going to figure out where her shadows are. So usually you have shadows at the roots. So I'm just going to go flicking like that. You have shadows where her ponytail starts and ends, like that, and down here. And this hair is on top, so there's going to be a little bit of shadow there, a little bit of shadow there, and you can add a little bit to the ends as well. So now I'm going to take the light crumb cake and you're going to fill it in the space between the dark and the light. Now there's going to be a highlight in the middle here and over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick towards it each way while keeping that white space, and that's going to create the highlight. This side there'll be no highlight because it's all dark, like that. So there is her hair done. Actually, let's do one more there. Okay, so for the other girl, I'm going to use Soft Suede Light and Dark and Mango Melody Dark. So for it, I'm going to start with the dark. I'm going to use the felt tip, and I'm going to flick away from the part. Her head is going to give a shadow there. So you're going to do some flicking there. This hair is on top. I'm going to have some dark coming out from here and over here. Now I'm going to take the light using the felt tip. I'm going to do more flicking. I'm going to leave a little bit of white. This is going to be the highlight for the Mango Melody. So I'm extending that dark color into the highlight. Like that. Now I'm going to take the dark Mango Melody. I'm going to use the felt tip. I want to get a good saturation of the ink, so I'm going to do circular motions as opposed to flicking. And I'm going to cover everything, and it will help blend it out and add color to add some of the yellow color to the soft suede. Like that. So there's her hair. So now that we've done both the hairs, I'm actually going to go back and I'm going to take my ivory and I'm going to go to the bullet nib this time. And I'm going to put it in the shadows. So I use the bullet nib for when I want to have really good control over it, over the ink. And I'm just going to go where the shadows are. And don't forget their little nose. So along the hairline is a good place to shadow. Along the far side of their face, their nose, and don't forget their hands. They're very small, but there's a couple dabs. And there you go. So their skin is done. So now we're going to do the sidewalk. For the sidewalk, I used gray granite, dark and light, and I used the color lifter. So I'm going to start with the dark gray granite. I'm going to do the felt tip. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to outline the sidewalk. So I'm going to go along the top here where the sidewalk meets the grass, because usually that is a little bit darker, because again, you're thinking about the shadows. And the space between the sidewalks is a good place to add some dark. So just like that. It doesn't have to be perfect, doesn't have to be straight. Sidewalks are not straight. So now I'm going to take the light and I'm going to go to the felt tip, and I'm going to go along those same areas with the light, like that. I'm going to go down each side of the sidewalk. Like that. And then I'm going to create some texture into the sidewalk. So I'm going to do some flicking. Like that. Now, this is where the color lifter comes into play. I take the felt tip, and I'm actually going to go over all that area, because you want to soften the edges a bit. This is one of the things you can use the color lifter for, besides fixing mistakes. I'm just blending it out so that it goes softer into the white area. And it blends with the dark. Like that. So now we need to think about their shadow from their bicycle. So I'm going to take the dark and I'm taking the felt tip. And you know that the wheels are going to be darker because of where they are hitting the ground. And then you're going to take the lighter one and you're going to extend that because there's still going to be a shadow there where they are, just not as dark. Like that. And once you have your shadow where you like it, you're going to take your color lifter again and soften. Just the bottom. The top you can keep fairly, keep it straight. So now that we have that, so we're going to take the dark granite and we're going to take the felt tip. So if you look at my thing, I've added just a few little dots here and there. And that will create a bit of texture as well. Just random dots. Because Sidewalk's not perfect, so you just put it wherever you think you'd like it. Because you've done the color lifter already, you can see how it is, when you put it down, you can see it's spreading a bit. So it's not as dark as if you did it when it's dry. So I'm going to take the light one and do the same thing. Just random, here and there. Okay, now I'm going to take the color lifter again, and I'm just going to go over it just to make sure that my dots are bleeding a bit. And it also gives the sidewalk more area to bleed out. So there's the sidewalk. Okay. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the clouds. Now the clouds, I'm going to actually use the same. I'm going to use the gray granite and the light gray granite. For my clouds, if you look at them, they go pretty well straight across, and then at the top they come down and join up. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the light gray granite, we're going to take the felt tip, and we're just going to go along and just lightly touch the top of the clouds. Now it's not a continual line. You can see there's some areas where I just do like little dots and stuff. That's good, because clouds aren't like completely outlined. So I'm going to do that to all the clouds. There. So now we're going to take the gray granite dark, and I'm going to actually use the bullet tip because I want a little bit more control. And you're going to look at your cloud and you're going to see where there is like a divot. So there's a divot here. So you just create like a little shadow. Another one along here, like that. Look at the bottom. So that's one there, one there. So you just go along and add wherever you think there is a divot to your clouds. And this will create the shadows that you want. Again, you could do a couple little dots here and there, so it's not completely all like that. Okay, now I'm going to take the gray granite and I'm doing the felt tip. Now for this area, I'm going to want to extend these shadows out. And again, I'm doing like going along, just lightly touching the paper, doing some dots here and there, like that. and doing it to them all. So we're building up the cloud, the texture of the cloud. It doesn't have to be perfect, because just like the sidewalk, we're going to take our color lifter now. And we're taking the felt tip, and we're going to go in from the center towards the top and the bottom, blending out to soften the edges of the clouds. You will see me turning my paper quite a bit. What I find is you want your paper to be at a comfortable angle for your wrist as you color. It really helps with the flow of the ink for me. So you just go along like that. See, they're always starting to look like clouds. So now we'll go on to the sky. Now the reason why I went to the sky is for the sky, we're doing flicking motions, but we're doing long flicking motions. And if you get some ink in the tree, that's okay, because you can cover it up. Same with the grass. So you just have to be careful of the girls. So let's get started with that. So I'm going to start with the dark, and I'm going to go to the felt tip. And the idea for the clouds is the sky is not always uniform. So you want to figure out where you think you want some definition of your clouds. You see how I'm doing the flicking motion? I'm putting it down, lifting up, putting down, lifting up. And I'm doing different lengths so that way it's not all uniform. And what I've done is I've had some of the clouds come out from, or some of the sky come out from behind the clouds like this. And you just fill in the area where you want your clouds. This area is not as important because the leaves are going to be covering it. So yeah, so you just fill it in. Just flicks along like that. Then you're going to take the light balmy blue, and you're going to extend those flicks out where you have the darker color. And just continue down. And if it's not perfect, that's fine. Like it's not smooth, that's fine. As I said, skies are not always smooth. So you just continue flicking. Making sure you don't get the girls. I find I like to color away from myself. I find it easier than I don't color over things as much. So you may want to, as I do, turn the page around. Just fill it in. Now don't forget the girls. See, I'm flicking away from the girls because I don't want to get ink on them. As I said, the tree, if you get some ink on the tree, don't worry about it. It'll be fine. Because we'll be covering it with a darker color. Don't forget the space between them. Now you can play around with it a bit more. If you want to add a bit more here, a bit more there, you can. but there's the sky. Now what I have done is I take my color lifter again. Again, same technique as I did with the sidewalk. I'm going to go through and I'm going to just soften. Circular motions I'm using, and I'm softening where the two colors have transitioned together to give it a bit of softer look and blend it out a bit more. You can do as much or as little as you like. So let's leave it like that for now. It will still start to bleed and blend a bit as it dries too. The grass, we're going to do Old Olive, dark and light. Yes. So I'm going to take my Old Olive light and I'm going to color in the grass, and I'm going to use circular motion because I want to get a good layer of ink onto the page. And you can just color right over their legs. You don't need to worry about coloring around their legs. I'm doing big circular motions, getting lots of ink onto that page. I find the felt tip is good for that, getting the ink on the page. Okay, now that it's on the page, I'm going to take the dark and I'm going to figure out where the shadows are. So if you look at my image here, I did it along the tree, along the grass, along the hill part of it. So we will do that. So I'll bring it along here. I'm doing flicking motions along the tree because I want it to blend out. Oh, I forgot the color there. So we'll go along there, along there, and then I'm going to bring it over like that. And of course, where the sidewalk meets the grass, there's always a little bit darker. So we're going to do that. So we're going to take the light, fill in this area that I missed, and I missed this area here too. Fill in that. We'll come back and add the dark to it in a bit. So, and now I'm doing circular motions again. What I'm going to go all over it, and then what you want to do is you want to get the dark to blend into the lighter Old Olive. So I'm going around and around and around and around in circular motions. And I'm putting a lot of ink where the two colors meet. Because that's where I want it to blend. So while that's drying, I'm going to take the dark. Now I know that the tree roots will create a shadow as well as the sidewalk. So we're going to blend that out. Like that. There we go. A little bit blending here. So next we want to do the back hill. So we're going to fill it in with the light. Careful with the girl. circular motions because we want lots of ink on the on it to saturate the paper so that we get good blending. So now we're going to take the dark. Again, we're having it over the crest of the hill because it's furthest away. And I'm going to have a little bit here too, just to add a little bit of variation. Just like that. So now we're going to take the light circular motions. We are going to blend them out as best we can. Like that. Now they will keep blending as you go and do things. Now what I did was I also added a few little dots as well. We're going to wait to do that, as well as the grass along the base. We want the grass to dry completely before we add those. So we're going to go on to the tree. So as I mentioned, the tree is soft suede, light and dark. We're going to take the light soft suede. I'm turning this around so my wrist will be comfortable. And I'm going to lay down a layer again of it. It doesn't have to be perfect because we're going to go over it multiple times. I'm just getting a layer down, and I'm doing like big circles again because you want lots of ink on the page. You want to keep a wet edge so that as you're doing it, you get there. Now we'll continue that part of the tree once we've done with the trunk. So you want to take your dark and your felt tip, and we're going to go along the edge because that would be in shade from where my sun is. My sun would be coming from over here is what I figure. So you have that coming in there. You know that there's going to be a shadow wherever the roots meet the grass. There's also going to be a shadow here because this one is behind the trunk. So you're going to put that in like that. Now you're going to take the light and we're going to blend out. And we're going to go and blend out as much as possible. I'm going to do it along the edge, along this edge. And we're blending out the colors so that they we're doing this so that they keep blending. Make sure that you soften that edge as you're going. Like that. Now we'll tackle this branch. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring it out like this. I'm doing circular motions so that you get good ink coverage. This particular branch is not as important because we're going to be having the fall leaves behind it, but it's nice to add some texture to it. So I'm bringing the dark soft suede there in the shadows. Then I'm going to go in and fill it in again with the light soft suede. Like that. So now we're going to leave them and let that dry. So let's see. We have their shirts to do. So while other things are drying, I'm going to take the Cajun Craze for the one girl shirt. The light Cajun Craze. I'm going to color her with the light. Give a good saturation. Then I'm going to take the dark Cajun Craze. I want the felt tip end. And you know it's just going to have a shadow on her head, her arms, and then I've added a shadow along here. Like that. And then we're going to take the light and we're just going to blend it out. Okay. The other one I used cherry cobbler. Same idea. I'm going to take the light cherry cobbler. I'm going to go in and fill in right over the black stripes because it doesn't matter. Then I'm going to take the light again. So under her head, along her back, under our arms. That's where the shadow's going to be. And I'm just going to do that. I noticed I have a little bit of the Cajun Craze there. I'm just going to go over it, see if I can blend it out a bit. So now we just have the finishing touches to do. We have the leaves, we have the dots on the grass, and the trunk. So we're going to do the dots on the grass. So we're going to bring back in our Old Olive Light and Dark. Taking the bullet nib, I'm going to do dots again, just like before. Give it dimension in the shadows. I'm going to take the Old Olive Light, add a few more. There. So we're going to do the grass at the base. So there's the grass along the sidewalk there. So I'm going to bring in mossy meadow as well. So the idea behind this is you take your felt tip and we're going to do flicking motions. So you want to flick up and away, just all along there. Just short flicking motions. They don't have to be perfect. You want them different lengths so that way they look like grass, like that. So that was the dark Old Olive. I'm going to take the light Old Olive, doing the same thing. This one you may not see as much, so just a few. I'm going to take the light Mossy Meadow. Don't push too hard. You want very light flicking. Just flicking away. As I said, make sure they're different lengths. And now the dark. For the flicking, I actually have my marker vertical pretty well. It just makes it easier for this part. So that way you don't get your flicks too thick. And you just fill it in. Now if you want, you go back. I'm going to add some dark Old Olive. Now you might want to give a little bit of a base along here. That. My grass went into my sidewalk. Sometimes grass overgrows sidewalk. So now we're going to go to the trunk of the tree. So I'm bringing back in my soft suede. I'm going to use the dark soft suede. And I'm using the bullet tip. Now the idea behind this is you want to draw a line and kind of like make sure it's not all over. You can do some dots. You just want to make some vertical marks. So it looks like some bark. I made a bit of a hole here, so you could do like a knot. And just fill it in. As much or as little as you like. Try not to get them in the same place so it doesn't look like a runway. Now at this point you could draw in the branches. Just lightly. You draw in as many or as little as you want. Let's start with that and we go from there. So now we can go on to the leaves. So for the leaves, we're going to be using quite a bit of colors. We're going to use Cherry Cobbler. We're going to use Cajun Craze. We're going to use Mossy Meadow, Melon Mambo, and Old Olive. So basically all of the markers that are well, quite a few of them. So for this technique, you're going to take the felt tip marker. And what you're going to do is you're very carefully, you're going to place it down on its side like that. And you see how it creates leaves? You just scatter them everywhere you want. You just do that all over the place. And then you go to the next color. Again, take your felt tip, very gently, you put it down. Then you go to your next color. And you just keep filling in the leaves. Back and forth, very gently. You're putting it down. So that way it looks like fall leaves. And just do that for all the colors. So that was Cajun Craze. This is light Cajun Craze. Okay, now we're going to go into light Mossy Meadow. Mossy Meadow seems to be very dry. I'm going to need to get a new one. But that's okay. We have lots of other greens that we're using as well. So we'll do dark Mossy Meadow. Now I tend to have the leaves angling down towards them. To the Mango Melody. Since fall leaves are so many different colors, I thought it would be nice to have all these different colors in it. Okay, now we're going to go to Old Olive. And you just keep adding the colors. You can do any shape you want. You can turn it right side, look at it, think, oh, I need a few more over here. Just fill it in however you like. You can just go on and on and on. So I'm going to stop there. I'm going to pull in those off to the side. I'm going to pull in the original again and zoom out so you can see them both. So there you go. This one you could add more leaves to it. I just wanted to give you an idea of that technique. So there you go. There is my coloring. For this kind of card, I'd probably just put it on a regular card base because there's so much detail to it. You don't want to distract from all your hard work. And I hope you learned something, and I hope you find it useful. And I look forward to seeing some of you using these techniques in your coloring. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I hope you're having fun with the play date. And if you have any questions, you can just let me know. Okay, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.